What's up, guys? We're back. Episode 16, the Enlisted Real Estate Podcast. We got Brian Baker.
What's up?
I am Richie Fortunato. And this is our Sweet 16. Congratulations, Brian. We can now drive.
Thank you. We should have had candles and everything set up for this one.
Get a cake, some cupcakes.
I like it.
But today we're just gonna go right into it. Talk a little bit about negotiations with the builder, especially their inventory homes, with everything going on in the world. Every market's different. And I can tell you right now, Central Florida is very different than what's going on in the rest of the world or rest of the country as far as the housing market. It's because this is probably the top market in the country. I know the top four are Orlando, Tampa, Phoenix, and Austin. So let's talk about negotiating and how you can get a good deal on with the builder inventory home. I know Brian's got a story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we were kind of talking about some of the negotiations and what the market's doing and others putting in offers, whether it's a realtor or just a customer itself. So I had somebody reach out and they're in a situation where their market, they're in a totally different state than us here in Florida, but their market is, he's watching a lot of the homes that are being reduced to sell. And then it's just, they're selling slower, which is very different than here. But he put in an offer on a home that's coming up on completion here in about 2 to 3 weeks. And he knows it's a low ball, but there was not even a counter offer to his offer. So that, on our side, that just means we're so far apart. Like I'm not even like, we're not going to negotiate for the next 2 weeks and just kind of inching it close. We don't have time for that. Right. So that's typically what it means if you don't even get a counter. So, I was talking about that a little bit. And his question is, do I, just say, what, this is my truest and final, best offer, or, does he leave room for the negotiation aspect? So, and that's, obviously not being in his market and not knowing 100%, giving an opinion, my opinion on that is, you could leave room for the negotiation, because if the market really is slow and it is truly homes across the board are coming off their price to get them to sell. You don't want to come in too high, especially if you're not going to be there for a long period of time. You could get stuck with a home if you're overpaying for it. So, but then again, my thought was, have an honest conversation, with them. So I'm sure you've been in the same boat. Like somebody comes in and they give you a horrific sob, 99.9% sure it is a total bullshit story. And they're just trying to negotiate and tell you why they got to get this $50,000 off type price. And when I get that, I don't even want to negotiate. Like that's done. Yeah. Like matter of fact, our incentives just went away. It's crazy, So, but if somebody's like honest, like I'm all about, I want to help, you know what I mean? And I want to do what's right for the company and make sure that we're successful. But, I'm also trying to make sure that we get some great customers in here and help them out. And, if you're honest and we can have like this true conversation, like let's figure out, you find it's obviously a value for you. You like it, you want to get in. I'm more willing to listen and negotiate in that point, if we're just being honest, Yeah. So if you're lying to me about this now, like what else are you going to lie to me about? Are you going to lie to me about your financing? Are you going to lie to me about who's supposed to be on the contract and what, foreclosure you just had 2 months ago? Like what else are you lying about? So, I told him to go the honesty route, but that was, hopefully the right choice.
Yeah. I'm with you. I prefer the honesty route because I don't like negotiating. So it just takes up too much time and it's too much back and forth. And it's not enjoyable to me. There's some parts that I actually do like when I can hold back and then they negotiate and they didn't get to where they could go and I get them there, Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not going to, negotiation, you want the seller to, be happy and the buyer to be happy. Mm-hmm. That's the only way it's going to work.
Yeah.
So, I
negotiate way more than I think you realize. You know what I mean? Like I remember sitting there and you always talking about, I hate negotiation. I'm like, you negotiated that like crazy, like there's so much negotiation in there.
Maybe it's a little like, sneaky negotiation where I don't feel like I try to make it look like it's not really negotiating maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have a lady I worked with. She'd call me like a snake. Like she doesn't see you coming. They don't see you coming, and you come up and you bite them. And then they're signing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I do it. I do it a lot, especially with inventory. Like, with a builder, you have to know if the home's completed or in the home's under construction, you're gonna get two different prices right now. Because if the home's under construction, there's no hurry to sell it. So they're not going to discount it as much. Yeah, you have time. And chances are somebody's going to come in before it's completed and buy it.
Yeah.
If it's completed, well, now it's costing the builder to hold on to it every month.
Yeah.
So you might get a little bit more, but it's not going to be, there's still a margin that they have to hit, and they're not going to go below that margin.
Yeah. And that's the other misconception too, is because like some people who know that, like, okay, it's a ready inventory. They've got to get rid of it. But at the same time, like there's a lot of thought that goes into it. Like one, we can't just get rid of it because, we have to meet certain margins in order to pay the bills and keep the lights on. Right. Mm-hmm. And if we're not, honestly, if we're not making money, then what are we doing? Right. We're just wasting time for everybody. So, like they're not going to give it away, but sometimes they're more willing to get you a couple, things here and there, to make it happen.
Especially you got completed inventory right before the end of the year.
End of the year. How many times did we sit there and it's like 11:39 and we're like counting down, like, listen, you got 20 minutes, hurry up and sign it and get it in, Yeah. And that's fiscal years too. So to clarify, a year does not necessarily mean December, end time. It could be September. It could be, there's some that have like a March that I've heard of, and March seems a little different, but it just trying to throw off like which builders have in the end of the year, because there's always the end of the year sales and everything. And then the push with construction, because they try to pull all the vendors, like, please, like, you've got to get these done for our end of the year. And if every builder is doing that, it makes it more difficult for everybody. So there's a benefit in-house.
Yeah, because the builders are throwing incentives at the vendors to get them to come to their house to build their house first. So it's actually it's costing us more money to build a house.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
things.
Just
trying to do a little things just to, get them, hey, like whatever we could do to entice them to make sure that drywall is up. And they typically have maybe a 2-week time frame, but like, let's cut that down to like 4 days, like let's put a crew in there and let's knock it out.
Yeah. So. The builder's not a single person trying to sell their house because they have to move to another city or they need to upgrade. They have the home. They have hundreds of homes. So they're not going to sell it below a margin. And it's just a business thing. So, you can't, if you're stuck, like if your friend in Houston stuck on, I can't buy it for this price, I can only go to this price and the builders can't meet it, then you got to move on. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what that was the same conversation is, if you, how are you going to feel? I didn't want to give them the fear of loss type sales pitch, because like, but it is true. Like, are you okay losing the house? So like, if you come in and you give them another offer to leave the room for negotiation, but they still feel that you're so far off, they don't even counter, if you try to do that too much, like if somebody's come in and they give me like 10 lowball offers, like I'm probably not even hearing the last 7 or 8 of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because like, how serious are you? You know what I mean? You're just trying to find my bottom line, which my bottom line just raised.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
so you have a complete inventory home. Do you know your bottom, like the price you have to sell it at, or do you have a good idea?
I have a good idea. Yeah. So, there's been times in just different management they'll operate a little bit differently. Some I knew 100% like, hey, this is the bottom line. Like we can do this. And, you try to work within that parameter, and then there's others where management kind of leaves you guessing, and you kind of have an idea just historically, but you don't know when, it's not 100%,
You just have to present it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's hard in a management style where they don't want anything presented, not that they don't want it, but it's not their, forte.
Yeah, it's still, inventory is different than, dirt. So if you have say you have a completed inventory home and you know what the bottom is, do you tell the person or do you let them get there themselves?
I would say that I start back at the asking price. And that's just because everybody is different. Right. So, kind of on like to get into like a scenario type, which we kind of we talked about off recording. You have an inventory home or a home that it's sold. A quick move and it falls through for whatever reason, but you know kind of where you can sell that.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to the list price, whatever that ask price is a lot of times I go there because everybody wants a deal, and that's and there's times where people, you could tell that like they want a home. They're looking to get into it. They need something quick. Like they're good with it. And,
Mm-hmm.
then, all right, let's like, here's what we really got,
Yeah.
But how often do you spit out, and I watch people do it, as soon as somebody walks in, they're like, and they're just completely throwing out everything they have. And then all of a sudden the buyer's like, listen, like we're so close. Like you just got to do a little bit more for me. And we got to, you know what I mean? It's like, no, that was everything I had. Like, I don't, and everybody just wants a little bit more. They want to feel that they're getting a deal. I mean, I get that, sometimes that's just personalities and, you want to make sure that you don't want to feel like you're overpaying for something. Right. So that's typically why I like to start kind of back up and work our way, into it, especially once I get to know the buyer a little bit better.
Yeah. So, like I always tell them the list price if it's an inventory home, right? And let them get there.
You tell them the which price?
The list price. So like we used to have, I'll give you an example. So we had 2 of the same exact inventory homes. And the same exact price. They're like $420. And we couldn't sell them. Nobody was buying them because it was just a big one story that for some reason people weren't attracted to it. And so we got it appraised. So we had an appraiser come out and they both appraised for like $380.
Oh. So
then it came up, well, do we have to sell it for the appraised price or do we sell it for the list price? Now I knew we can get to 420 or 400. Right. So I actually sold one of them. We sold them both, but I sold one of them and we sold it for 400 and then it ended up appraising. So when we were having that conversation, well, don't we have to sell it for 380? Because that's what it appraised for already. And our VP of accounting, she's like, no, just let it go through the process again, do the financing, let them reappraise it and see what happens. And it came back over 400 the second time.
Yeah.
So it was crazy.
There's a lot of differences. You can get appraisers who do not necessarily know what they're doing. Because I've heard, I had a customer that she got an appraisal and it was way low. It didn't make sense. I mean, none of it made sense on that. But also there's times where when they're doing the appraisal, they're basically trying to justify that sales price, right? Like they're not coming up with, usually, except for in that case where you had them come in, when they're looking at a sale, they're trying to justify that sales price, right? So it's not being overpriced and oversold. And if you've got a $40,000 gap you're trying to fill, that's a lot more difficult, and certain things they don't give you the benefit of the doubt for. But if you're trying to fill maybe a $5,000 to $10,000 gap, then they can justify a couple things here and there, and I'll give you the benefit of that here, I'll give you the benefit of that there, and you're more likely to come to your appraisal values, with that lesser difference.
So then I just had a situation where we sold a model, right? I had previously sold a model that fell through. We're still going through the cancellation process. I have a guy come in, him and his wife, they love the house. They were talking about building one, right? And as I'm talking to him, you can get to know him and you can see he likes like nicer things and he can afford it.
Yeah.
Right. And he tells me, he's like, listen, I didn't come here to buy a house. I'm not looking in this area. I just was driving by and I saw the sign. So I just stopped in and he's like, dude, I was surprised on how much I like this house. I'm like, oh, it's great. And so I was like, well, when do you want to, I asked him like, so are you looking to move? What's your time frame? And he's like, I don't really have one. He's like, I could build it or I can move in now, whatever. So he's talking about build. He's like, ask me about lots. So if he used to build this house similar, not the same height, not the same quality of levels and everything like that, on a smaller lot, it was going to be like $430. And I knew I just sold this model that fell through for $440. Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I just sold this model. Why don't you just move into this or buy this one and rent it back to us? Because it's a little harder to find somebody who can afford it. not not in a hurry. We'll lease it back to us for
Yeah.
as long as we want. So it doesn't matter.
Yep. 100%.
I'm like, why don't you just buy the model? I was like, the list price is $490. I just sold it for $440. I was like, why wouldn't you buy the model? He's like, okay. And so I have to resubmit it, right? I have to resubmit the offer. And it comes back and they're like, they don't want to sell it for $440 now. Now they want like $451. I'm like, what's going on here? I was like, we still have a contract. I haven't actually signed the cancellation yet for $440. So if the guy's like, oh, I changed my mind, we have to sell to this movie for $440. Why won't we just sell it to the new guy for $440? Right?
Yeah.
So it was this big thing. And they're like, well, no, you got to go up. I'm like, listen, I already told them how much I just sold it for. And they're like,
yeah.
So my manager's like, why would you do that? You don't ever tell the person. I'm like, you don't ever tell the person what you just sold the house for. I'm like, why not?
But you just got them to come up 10 grand and maintain a sale.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want him to build a house. I want to sell this house now. It can close, in 30 days. I sell the model. And he's buying more. So I was just curious, it's all situational. Usually tell them the list price, but in that situation, I knew I could get them to buy the model versus build, waiting 8 months to build.
Yeah.
Or, build 8 months later, close. And then who knows what happens in the 8 months?
Absolutely. He could cancel out, in the 8 months, and the model could sit on your inventory sheet and listed for another 8 months, especially when they're overpriced. I mean, like, models so often are always overpriced. I mean, they're way too much,
Yeah.
And it's so much negotiating, and then people go, oh, your model's for sale. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, it's how much? Like, that's a crazy price. So, I mean, to be able to know that one's done, and you're basically just replacing it. Plus you're taking another customer you were going to write, but you've got him to come up another 10 plus grand.
I'm already limited on lots. Yeah. I'm already limited on these water lots. I only have like 3 left. So now it's like it's 2 for 1. I can sell another one of the water and the model.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it ended up working out. He got it.
Good.
But
that's good.
It was tough. It's unbelievable how tough it was to resell it for the same exact price I just sold it for. So I think I was even excited. Do you still get excited when you sell a house? Like, you've been doing this a long time now, or how many houses have you sold, do you think?
I don't know, a couple hundred for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you think you average like what, there's times where we've had 40 to 50 a year, and, times where there's about 30. It just depends, different builders sell different levels of quantity too. I mean, you can go to one of the quantity versus quality type builders, and I mean, they probably sell 80 to 100 a year. You know what I mean? They just pump those things out. It just depends, but I mean, hundreds of homes,
Do you still get excited when you sell one?
I get excited for the customer. You know what I mean? Like, you especially when you build those relationships and you get like a first time home buyer, or somebody who didn't think that they were, going to be able to get into a home, and like you make it work and you find something perfect for them. And that I get excited for them.
Yeah.
The sale is, I mean, yes. And like, sometimes it's exciting, it makes you happy. Of course, the exciting part is, when it closes. I mean, like, how often it's never done until it closes, because often, I mean, you can go till day 0 and you're like, oh, it's not closing today. What do you mean? And
this process is so long. So you have to, usually you forget about it. Actually, like, you don't even realize, you don't even know when it closes. You get a closing date, but then you don't go there. You don't hear about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was just talking to a girl. She works for another builder in Laureate Park. And it was Ramone Cruz. She was my first partner. And she's like, I was trying to get her to come on. And I said, what are you doing? She goes, I'm just writing a contract. I'm like, well, how many did you write this month? She goes, 7. The 7? I said, see, like, well, what's that like? And I was like, I don't get excited for the one, unless I get excited for like inventory homes. I get excited for the people. I don't get excited for selling, when I write one and then you have to wait, it's not, it's so long. You have to wait. But I like selling 6, 7, 8. When you hit that number for the month, or management gives you a goal every month, 2 houses, 3 houses, whatever it is. I don't care what they give me. I have my own, right? I actually have a dollar figure I want to make for the year. And then you average your price, and that's how many homes I want to sell. I get excited if I hit that.
Yeah.
The long-term goal, but the ones you do every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not like when I remember when I first started. And, you get that sale, you're like, dude, this is awesome. And then you go, oh, what do you mean I don't get paid for 8 months? And even after it closes, you've got 2 weeks to, 3 weeks out before that paycheck even comes in. You're like, man, that's a long time.
And then they take the taxes from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you pay
taxes from it.
You pay back your draw, then they take the taxes, and then you get whatever's left over.
Exactly. And you're like, oh, it's $100. This is. I don't even get draw here, so.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes. Unless you go, 6 months with having no lots to sell and everything you had closed, and now you're just like, waiting.
Oh, you don't get nothing. I think you guys get a salary and then a percentage.
There's an option. They you can elect to have one, or you can elect to do full. You get a higher percent going full. So
nice.
To the full. Yeah.
That's probably, well, if you're selling, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, it's what I had, in general, and from the other builder I worked for, and and I mean, coming in initially was nice to have. So I started with a salary and then the commission, and that was pretty cool because new to a company, and I opened a brand new community that was going to take, months before it was, up for sales, plus having, closing. So that was nice just to have a little carryover, and, especially with no draw.
Yeah.
Well,
on that note, we got to take off. I'm going to break one of my rules. Don't go in on your day off.
Yeah. There's a topic for the future.
I know. We couldn't get to it today, but
controversial.
You normally won't, but some people you have to do it.
Oh yeah. And I got a story about going in after hours on my day off the other day.
Yeah.
And to sign, and then I drove all the way, and they got cold feet and decided, oh man. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, sorry. Yeah. That's a whole nother topic. Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff I wanted to get to today. The next one, we just had a sales meeting yesterday, and we were talking about a book. It's the last sales guide you'll ever need. Anthony Ian Marino, something like that. I don't know. But there's some good stuff in there actually that a lot of it's you have the old school salespeople where it's like sales, the certain way. And then you have, I think like us, where it's just, you're more personable. It's more about you, it's not about us. It's about the customer, and we're just ourselves. Yeah. And it's more genuine, I think. And I think that's what this book was. We haven't gotten that far into it, but I think that's where it's going. Oh, that's cool. So I'm actually interested to see what happens. But we'll bring some stuff in there.
You'll have to send me, send me the link or text me what that is later. Yeah. And we'll put it in the description under the video, so anybody else is interested in another book. I don't know if I mentioned before, but Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
A couple times. I think you do once an episode.
Dude, I still read that, but I've read that book like 10 times this year. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I love that book, and there's times where like, we go and I don't think about it, and I start reading it again. I'm like, oh man, like, it works, and I like it. So.
All right, guys. Well, next time, stick with us. We'll do something else next week. That's it. Episode 16 in the books.
In the wraps.
Have a good week.
Share it.
Oh yeah, stream us on your platforms, and check out Brian's sexy face on YouTube. Give him a thumbs up.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
Later.